Welcome to the JackHorny.com show.
Hi folks, it's raining in the background, so I don't know if this mic will pick it up. Actually, I think it's just stopped. Today I'm going to cover a little subject, which is this Boris Johnson thing and the phone call where somebody phoned up about an argument. Now the first thing to say is people do have arguments and shouting matches. Me and my mate, she shouts at me a lot. And people do have arguments. That doesn't mean it's an abuse situation. But, and this is where things get quite serious. People are winding this up, especially on the left, but there's something to note. Something serious to note. Have you noticed how all the Labour lots, everyone who's posting about this, were claiming Boris Johnson was involved in domestic abuse, are stating one thing: they're making out she'd be the victim. I have not seen anyone post saying that if there was domestic abuse, why is it presumed that she's the victim, not Boris Johnson? Even Jess Phillips, she's going on about women's charities. Women's charities have had to state that, they're all talking from it's automatically women are never part of the abuse. And that's quite serious, quite disturbing, and quite sexist, to be honest. It just shows how the left think. They don't have equality. Now, there's many men out there who are getting abused. I've pointed this out in the past. I've got a friend who was in the army, and I don't think it's fair to bring this story up, but if you Google, you might find army soldier. His girlfriend nearly murdered him with a dumbbell. You can Google it, folks. It was in hospital. The picture's there. Now, I've also suffered it. I had a friend. I won't say girlfriend, but it's hard to describe what your situation there was. But for quite a few months, she became quite abusive. It started off a little bit, and she started being really unpleasant and she was basically putting me down constantly, going on and on and on. In the end, I couldn't be bothered with being with her. It went on quite a while. She used to assault her kids basically as well. She even said it to me, you don't I go over the top, don't? And I went, yeah, because she was hitting them, and she was hitting them for no reason. And I just didn't agree with it. I don't agree with hitting any child anyway. I don't see any reason to hit any child for any reason. I just don't. It just doesn't make logical sense. And in the end, she got a bit nutty and started phoning the police on me. And the police, because again, you see, this is the trouble. People presume the male's responsible. And so the police automatically took her side. It was only when she sent her ex after me to assault me, I think they started realising. But I did have evidence to prove my case, and what did the police do? They threatened me if I kept posting it, because I said I'd email it in. And they even said to me, I got a phone call saying, if I send any more in, they charge me with something. It was appalling. And it was quite clear the police had screwed up, basically, and took her side. And this is the trouble. Doesn't help all these people. They might think it's very clever to accuse Boris Johnson of domestic abuse without even stating it could be. If there was any abuse, why should it be Boris Johnson? Why shouldn't it be his girlfriend? You see it a lot. You see a lot of men get abused. I suspect that very, very few men report it to the police. I think they just put up with it. I think maybe when it gets extreme, maybe when it gets to they could be murdered or killed or harmed, then it may be. But let's not remember, the Guardian report says she's screaming. So the conclusion there, again, the conclusion is she, he's assaulting her or something. she could easily be, and I'm not saying even, because I don't think in this case there were either of them in domestic abuse. I think it was just one of them things, just having an argument, which, you know, people do have. But and this is, I'm just sort of stating, I'm not saying these two were doing it, but why should you should not believe, you should not presume automatically that it's the male who's the abuser. It can also be the female. And it's actually, I'm really annoyed about this actually. I'm annoyed at all these smart ass lefties who are often women who are automatically now presuming it's men hurting women. Appalling. You should be ashamed of yourself. It just demonstrates how sexist most of the left-wingers are. Absolutely disgusting. It's also a bit quite vile to use this as a little, you know, use domestic abuse as some political thing. I mean, it all sounds a bit... I mean, I don't think there was abuse going on. It didn't sound like it. It just sounded like an argument. Now, if there is, yeah, tell with them. I'm not interested. Or her. I mean, like I said, you should never presume it's always the male. It could be the female who's the abuser. You know, when people phone or the police turn up, one should not automatically presume it's the men. It's wrong to do that. I mean, after all, it's just, I'm fuming actually with all this left wingers. Tweet after tweet after tweet. One, they're all accusing or hinting. See their accusations, or they're sort of suggesting or hinting, which is really weaselly of them. But in many ways, what's worse is it's all one-sided. It's all so sexist that it must be the male. It must be the man. It must be. Like I said, my mate was in the army, right? He was a strong guy. I wonder how many, if he hadn't been put into hospital, I wonder how many people would be going, oh, it'll be him that assaulting her. That's the trouble. And no wonder men don't go report this. You know, this is an area I suspect is quite large. I suspect a lot of men get abused. But because these left-wing women, you know, and it has been mainly women, I'm reading the tweets, maybe men as well. I don't want to be unfair, but every tweet I've been seeing, just about, I'll post them in the clips. If I put this on YouTube or on the other sites as a video, I'll include it. Obviously, in the podcast audio, you won't see the tweets, but I'll do my best. I mean, I thought it was a bit Weasley of the Guardian, to be honest, because the story was a non-story. It was, by the sounds of it, somebody might have spilt some wine and the other person got annoyed. Well, you know, if you sit, people laugh at me and my mate because every day I turn up and it's from the start she'll either moan I'm on time. I mean, I'm either too early or too late, and then she'll find fault with everything. It's almost a game with her. I mean, people laugh. I mean, her friends laugh. I laugh. It's hysterical to listen to, but it's the way she is. She just loves to moan about everything. I mean, I always say if she won £1 million on the lot of her, she'd be moaning that she didn't win 5 million. I don't think nothing makes her happy. It is quite funny it's quite amusing. But I think people do find it, people giggle in the supermarket when they listen to her going off on one. I mean, I tend to just blank her out these days. It's easier. But I mean, she can go on non-stop, moan. I mean, she what was it today? Oh, yeah, the dogs were too wet when I brought them back, and the cats, because the cats were staying at mine, so I had to bath them because she reckoned that they stunk from me or something. I mean, she does go on and on and on, but you know, it's amusing in many ways. But she will have a good shout in a match, but that's how she is. In fact, I don't know if I've ever heard her not shout yet. So, you know, people do have arguments, and we're only friends. Christ almighty, I mean, it's a bit like the other day, someone I went to school with, She had the same, God grief, she had the same haircut she had in the 80s. It shocked me really. I thought she might have changed it. She was in one of the supermarkets and screaming at her husband. I felt sorry for him. He said nothing. You could tell he was right under the thumb, as they say. He said she was telling him off for wanting to buy. I think he wanted to buy back a packet of biscuits, so I picked one up, and she was going ballistic over it. And you hear a cut. The amount of wives I hear in supermarkets tell their husbands off and give. It's ridiculous. But that's the thing. You got to remember, women do go. That was probably a bit sexist for me to say it, but women don't have to go on and on. They love a good shout, especially at each other. You can go out in our streets sometimes, especially in summer, and there's always one woman having another go at one of the neighbours over nothing, and they will have a right good shout. In fact, one of my neighbours, she used to. When she got drunk, her boyfriends used to be scared of her. I remember once she got drunk and her boyfriend was so scared of her, he locked her out and she hit the door. And I went next day, and my God, she had a solid wooden door. A proper one, not some sort of cheap plastic thing or cheap wood. This was solid wood, and she'd punched it and it was a big crack on it. To do that, you need a sledgehammer. That's how strong she was. It was no wonder her boyfriend was scared to death of her. When she was sober, she was lovely. It was just the odd once a month she might have had a bit too much to drink, and boy, she was. But yeah, that's the thing. But like I say, folks, you shouldn't presume just because people having a shout that it's the man who's doing it, as in the man's causing it or whatever. Women can be violent. Women can assault their husbands. Remember that. It's appalling of this lot on the left. You'd think they'd be into equality. I am actually surprised that not. I'm trying to find one. To be fair, I'm trying to look through and find where someone said, look, it's not just men. All I'm seeing is, even Jess Phillips, who's, she's a decent person. I don't want to be slating her. But she's sort of putting forward it, but she's posting things from women's charities, women's abuse. I haven't seen, I might be wrong, maybe she has, but I've not seen anywhere but anyone's posting about male abuse. After all, you got to remember, it's not just, so you've got gay couples, two men, apparently that it's not uncommon there either. And you've got lesbian couples where one can be violent. That I've heard of. So let's not get this sort of sexist image that it's a couple stroke, as in man and woman is where the only violence is, and it's always the man who's doing it. Yeah, I'm a bit cheesed off, to be honest. I think you can tell, folks, because it was wrong. It was shocking, really. It's bad enough that people are sort of suggesting there was domestic abuse without any evidence. That's appalling. Just because there was an argument. Absolutely shameful these people are. It's not on to do that. You shouldn't use domestic abuse in such a simplistic way just to win a couple of try and win a brownie points or whatever you call it. Realistically speaking, folks, if you're on the left and you're left, Labour's party, do you think this is going to encourage people to vote Labour? You know what I mean? No, it's not. That people know, they can see through this appalling, cheap way of trying to slander people. They know it's, people know that it was a cheap, nasty article in The Guardian. If there had been evidence from this couple from filming it, fair enough, but, I bet I could go up onto every wall and have an argument. The amount of arguments you hear in town is unbelievable. People have arguments with each other all the time. Much more brutal swear words and everything. It's shameful. Shameful. Quite right if you think there's domestic abuse, but I don't think this couple who reported it really believed it was domestic abuse. I think it was just trying to win. You know what I mean? By the sounds of it, one would imagine, one gets the impression, should I say, that they've done it to just try and screw over Boris Johnson. I mean, maybe they did do it general in decency. Maybe they did believe something was going on, but you know, one doesn't one suspects otherwise. One suspects foul play. Let's put it this way. Anyway, let's just make sure that we don't always presume it's the male. Let's presume sometimes it can be the female. Otherwise, men aren't going to report this. Men are going to get killed. Anyway, little rant over. Ciao.